Good day everyone, I am Rochelle C. Alicelha from 1 BSc A2 and now we will discuss about the consonants, vowels, lexical categories, and phrase structure rules of Malagasy language. But before we proceed to that, let's define first what is Malagasy language. So Malagasy language, it is a cluster of languages spoken on Madagascar and adjacent island and belonging to Austronesian family of languages. It is the language spoken in all Madagascar, while there are enlightened dialects spoken in different regions. It emphasizes that the basic grammatical structure is the same, all dialects. They mostly differ in terms of vocabulary. As for the Malagasy alphabet, there are some vowels and consonants that do not exist, and you will know it later. In fact, the Malagasy language is close to Arabic pronunciation. It is also one of the official language of Madagascar. It is also a West Austronesian language spoken by over 12 million people throughout the island of Madagascar. It was relegated to an inferior position. It is one of the Barito languages and it is most closely related to the Maanyan language. After we learn about the Malagasy language, let's now proceed to the sound pattern of Malagasy language. So there are two, the vowels and consonant. So let's know first the vowels. As what you have seen a while ago, in the front close it is E. In the front med, A. In the central open, A. In the back close it is U. While in the back mid it is O. O. After a stressed syllable as the end of the most words, and in the final two syllables of some A, U, and E are reduced to A, Z. E is spelled as Y. In such cases, through in monosyllabic words like and V, Y is pronounced as a full of E. Final A and sometimes final syllables are devoiced at the end of an utterance. A and O are never reduced or devoiced. The large number of reduced vowels and their effect on neighboring consonants give a Malagasy phonological quality not unlike of the Portuguese. O is a marginal in Merena dialect found in interjection and loan words. Through it, it is also found in place names from other dialectal areas. A, U are diphthongs. E, U in careful speech, E and O in more casual speech whenever, when it's pronounced, affect the following as E does. So I have here an example of vowels of Malagasy language. In E in English word like keep or leak, while in so here are the words of Malagasy language in E pronunciation like misty. It means in English word there is. Another word is mepetaraka. In English word, it is to live or to sit. This is another word, ch, ch, or no. So, in rather, in English word, it is made or pay. There is also a word in Malagasy language like veloma. It means by, tani, or language or words. In anima, in English word, it is 6. So here is also another vowel in Malagasy, a. In English word, it is father. In Malagasy language, there are also example of these. It is salama and manana. Salama means in English word, it is hello. In manana, after we learn about the vowels, let's now proceed to consonants. So there are stops, the voiceless plain, the voiceless prenasalized, the voice plain, and the voice prenasalized. So in applicative, it is voiceless plain, voiceless prenasalized, voice plain, voices prenasalized. In fricatives, there are voiceless and voice, also nasal, lateral, top, or trill. So in there are also bilabial, labiodental, dental, alveolar, postalveolar, retroflex, velox, and glottal. In bilabial stops, voiceless plant is p, p. In bilabial stops, voiceless prenasalized m, m. In bilabial stop, voice plain, it is b, b, b. In bilabial stops, voice prenasalized, it mb, mb, mb. So there's still bilabial nasal. Sounds mm, mm. In labiodental fricative voiceless, in labiodental fricative voice, it v, v, v. And dental stop voiceless plain, it is t, t, t. In dental stop voiceless prenasalized, it nt, nt, nt. In dental stop voice plain, it's d, d, d. In dental stop voice prenasalized, it's nd, nd, nd. So let's proceed now to alveolar. In alveolar affricative voiceless plain, it's in alveolar affricative voiceless prenasalized, it is nt, nt, nt. In alveolar affricative voiceless plain, ch, ch, ch. It is spelled as D and Z, but it is pronounced as ch, ch, ch. In alveolar affricative voice prenasalized, it is nt, nt, nt. In alveolar fricative voiceless, it is s. In alveolar fricative voice, it is z, 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 z. In alveolar nasal, it is n, n, n. In alveolar lateral, it is l, l, L. In alveolar top or trill, it is R, R, R. In postvelar affricative voiceless plain, it is in postalveolar affricative voiceless prenasalized, it is in postalveolar affricative voiceless plain, it is in postalveolar affricative voiceless prenasalized, it is in retroflex. So now proceed to retroflex. So in retroflex affricative voiceless plain, it's in retroflex affricative voiceless prenasalized, it is in retroflex affricative voice plain, it is in retroflex affricative voice prenasalized, it is So now let us proceed to velar. In stop voiceless plain, it is in velar stop voiceless prenasalized, it is in velar stop voice plain, it is in velar stop voice prenasalized, it is in so after we know the velar, let's now proceed to glottal. In glottal stop, it is sound between vowels in a and u and u. And in glottal fricative voiceless, it is ha, 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 ha. So I have here some examples of consonants in a words in Malagasy language. Like in labiodental fricative voiceless, it is Fiena Kaviena. It means family. In labiodental fricative voice, it is Vavau or new. In alveolar affricative voiceless plain, it is chutra, chutra, or it means in English language, it is simple. Like in misery, misery. It is in alveolar affricative voice plain. In alveolar fricative voiceless, it is sakka, sakka. In alveolar fricative voice, it means zaza or baby. In postalveolar affricative voiceless plain, it is, I have example, in postalveolar affricative voiceless plain, voice plain, it is Mitchell, misery. Or it, no. I have here an example, it is Indrinda, Indrinda. It is in English language, it is especially. And it is belong to postalveolar affricative voiceless prenasalized. Now, let's move on to retroflex. I have here an example in it is betchaka, betchaka. And in glottal fricative voiceless ho, ho, it is almost silent. Ahi, ahi, ahi. Now, after we learn the vowels and consonants, let's now proceed to some lexical categories of Malagasy language. So we have noun, pronoun, adjective, and verb. Now, let's go first to pronoun. It is are inflected to display grammatical relationships other than the main form. It is also indicate individuals, entities, such as name of person, places, or organization. So, I have here an example. Mananya pauma teleroki. So, mananya means apple. Pauma, it means has. And tree means telo. Roque, it is the name of the person. But when we translate it to English language, the sentence goes by this. Roque has 3 apples. So now, after we learn the noun, let's proceed to pronoun. But before we give an example, let's now define what is pronoun in Malagasy. It is marked for the 3 cases: the nominative, accusative, and genitive. Some pronouns are demonstrative, have a plural re. The first person plural pronouns had an exclusive form that excludes the addresses and an exclusive form that includes the addresses. So I have here 2 examples of pronoun. It is omenyo ahi nibo, nibuki, or it is amenyo ahi nibuki. Omeyo means give, ahi means me, and ni means the, and buki means book. So, when we translate it to an English language, the sentence go by this: give me the book. So, in example number 2, tiyak no yano. So, it means in English language, it is I love you. So, let's now proceed to verbs. Verbs has 3 tenses. It's present, past, and future. They are marked by prefixes. Yes or no question are expressed by the particle the placed before the verb. So, negation is expressed by the particle placed before the verb. So, a verb has 3 voices. It is active, passive, and relative. Each voice has one of the moods indicate and the imperative. So, it is also marked with a temporal prefix, M for present, N for past, and H for future. So, you will know if the verb is past, present, and future when its first letter is M, so it is present. If it is N, it is past. If it is H, it is future. So I have here 2 examples. Number 1, hetani ahu, so it is a future tense because the first letter is H. And if we translate it to English language, the sentence go by this. I will speak. In example number 2, maturely easy. So, M, it is, when the first word is M, it is a present tense. When we translate it to an English language, it is, she is sleeping. Means, maturely is sleeping and easy is she. So now let's proceed to adjective. So, adjective, it is usually placed in a sentence immediately after the word to which it relates. It may take the role of the predicate and replace the non-existent auxiliary to be in a sentence, referring to the properties and states. It is also a word that generally modifies a noun or noun phrase or describe its referent. Its semantic role is to change information given by the noun. So I have here an example of adjective. So, Majna, or it means in English language, it is quiet. I have here a sentence. Itinisan ako babikali. So, when we translate it to English language, the sentence go by this. This is my little daughter. So, iti means this. Ni means is. Zanako means my. Zanako means my little. Babi is my, and Kelly is daughter. Okay, after we learn in the lexical categories, let's now proceed to phrase structure rules. In phrase structure rules of Malagasy, it is always verb, object, subject. But some of the they use is verb, subject, object. But mostly, Malagasy language is used as verb, object, subject. So in syntax, verb initial word order is a word order in the verbs appear before the subject and the object. In the more narrow sense, this term is used specifically to describe the word order of verb languages. So I have here an example of phrase structure rules. Mamakiki buki ni impadnyatra. So means read is a verb, object is the book, and subject is the students. So mamaki means read, boki means book, and ni means the, in impenetra means students. So when we translate it to the English language, it is a student read a book. So I have here example number 2. Miandra ni tarasatissima ahu isandru. So miandra means wait, ni means for the, taratasima means letter U, ahu means me, Isandra and Andrew means every day. So when we translate it to English language, every day I will wait a letter from you. So I have here another example. Nahita may kabalakaw ni ako. Nahita, if we translate it to English language, it is the chicken saw the rat. The word order of Malagasy language is verb, object, subject. It is the most common word order in Malagasy, but other word orders are possible if needed. Focus is marked by particles and by placement of the focus word of the beginning of a sentence. Definite markers precede the noun. They modify while adjective, numerals, quantifiers, and relative clauses follows it. Adverb and some qualifiers precede the verb. So you will find all the 6 possible patterns of Malagasy language. Subject, object, verb, subject, verb, object, verb, subject, object, verb, object, subject, object, verb, subject, object, subject, verb. But it seems the pattern which are found in written Malagasy, verb, object, subject, is the result of influences from written Malagasy, since this is the unmarked heavy word in written Malagasy, but the non-sentence initial placement of the interrogative times. So I have here 2 examples of subject, object, verb, object, subject. So manasa x isa katu pixel. So manasa means invite, x2 means you, isakto means have meal or food, and pixel is we. So when we translate it to English language, we invite you over for dinner. So I have here another one examples. Sample. Okizi Valala Misambatra. So Ankizi means child, while Valala means locust, or Misambatra means catch. So when we translate it to English language, it will become the child catches a locust. So the importance of Malagasy language is it is the one of the main signs of unity for the sometimes racially divided Malagasy nation. As much as any other aspects of the Malagasy culture, it symbolized the diverse origins of the Malagasy population. It also gave us idea of what Malagasy language is. And it helped us to know what their language and how it is connected to English language. Typologically, Malagasy is both verb initial and subject final. It is exhibit the major properties of head initial language. It is exclusively prepositional, complementars and subordinate conjunctions precede their clause. Adjectives, quantifiers, and possessors follow the noun through definite articles and proper name of articles present. And demonstrative adjective flank. The noun objects follow verb of all voices. Prepositional phrases occur between direct objects and the subject. Negation is preverbal and manner adverbs. Homophonous with adjective as simple cases occur post-verbally, often separating a transitive verb and its object. Morphologically, Malagasy presents significant suffixing, but as expected of head initial languages, is dominantly prefixing. There is some infixing and a little circumfixing.